As part of the redesign for my personal site, I decided to change the color scheme every month. Part of the color scheme was a repeating image underneath the top logo of the website. As you can see, this image repeats on the x-axis horizontally. I usually use an appropriate photo that I've taken and modify it so that it repeats seamlessly. This is a short tutorial of how I do this in Adobe Photoshop. After opening the image in Photoshop, I crop it down using the crop tool so I have a wide short strip of the photo, which I will use to repeat across the web page. I now need to set the correct height so that it will work in the designated space on the website. Under the image menu, choose image size. While I know the size I need is 80 pixels tall, I decide to double it so I'm not working at too small a size. I set the height to 160 pixels. I'm not too concerned about the width of the image as it will be repeating horizontally. It should look like a really wide continuous image. By duplicating the locked background layer, I now have a layer that is easier to work with. I delete the original background layer to keep the file simple. Now I need to offset the image. Under the filter menu within the other submenu, select the offset option. This allows you to offset the image while wrapping it around to the other side of the canvas as shown. For this image, I want a telephone pole to be located further to the right as the image is positioned from the right on the website, repeating horizontally. I'll explain the offset filter in more depth in another tutorial. You can see the obvious seam here, but using tools like the clone stamp and the patch tool, this can be smoothed out to look seamless. As I fast forward through the patch job, it should be noted that because we offset the image, this image will repeat horizontally as it is, with no visible seam between each repeated image. There are alternative methods to using the offset filter, but none are as easy to do and none achieve such a great result. Even though I'll be reducing the opacity of the image to let the background color show through, I still want to make it look seamless. After a quick adjustment of the brightness and contrast, I'm ready to split the sky from the land silhouette. The reason why I'm splitting the land and sky is so that I can have separate control over the opacity for each part. I may want a lighter overlay of the sky or a darker silhouette of the land. I prefer to separate elements into separate layers as this will give me greater control and more flexibility for future changes. So I simply duplicate the current layer and label it appropriately. For the sky layer, I need to remove the silhouette of land. As the land has many small areas, it's easier to select the sky and invert the selection. Using the magic wand tool set at 30, I can select all the colours in the sky, holding the shift button to make multiple selections. Once the sky is selected, I went to the select menu and chose the invert option. This inverts the selection and selects the land, which I delete from the layer. This can be better seen by hiding the original layer, which is behind the sky. Now I have to do the reverse and remove the sky from the silhouette layer. Selecting the blank area of the sky layer, I then click the silhouette layer. This transfers the selection from one layer to the other without deselecting. I then invert the selection again and delete the sky. This leaves the land silhouette behind. With both the sky and the land silhouette separated and then labelled, it's time to add some background colour. As I've said before, I prefer to keep all elements in separate layers for easier adjustment. For the background colour, I need to create a new layer to fill up my chosen colour. Once the layer is created, I need to drag it to the bottom of the layer list so it's behind the other layers. My chosen colour is already set, so with the colour layer selected, I go to the Edit menu and select the Fill command. With a layer selected, I can drop the opacity using the opacity slider in the Layers window. The background colour is only temporary. It will be hidden before I save the file for the website. It's there so I can see the effect that the semi-transparent image has when placed above a colour. I've adjusted the sky and land silhouette separately and I'm happy with the result. I can now get the image ready for the website. The first thing I need to do is reduce the image size down to 80 pixels. It's the height of the area that this image needs to fill. Once that is done, I need to hide the background colour layer as I want this to be a semi-transparent overlay for a background colour added via the CSS of the website. I use the Save for Web option under the File menu when exporting images for use on the web. It should be noted that the file size is 70 kilobytes. In the world of mobile web, that's a bit high for a decorative image. I use the Posterize adjustment under the Adjustments window to reduce the file size. Posterization of an image is the reduction of a gradation into fewer regions of tones. You can see the effect and quality that posterization has, but after some adjustment with the background color showing, you can achieve a decent result. Before saving for the web again, I have to hide the background color layer. When the Save for Web dialog box shows, you can see the file size is now less than 30 kilobytes. I've placed the new image into the local development version of my website. I've changed the colors used throughout via the site CSS. You can see that the image repeats from the right hand side horizontally. I did this so that the background will move when the page resizes. Websites have an infinite canvas, but bandwidth for file sizes will always be a limitation. By creating a tiling image such as this, you can mimic the effect and coverage of a much larger image. I hope this tutorial has been useful to you. I hope to produce more of these screencasts soon.